his spokesman, IBB spokesman, Mr. Afebua, say that, you know, he doesn't understand what happened. But when you read the papers this morning, you then hear IBB speaking and saying that, look, the version that was seen all over the place was the interpretation friends gave it. But what he actually had said had been sent out by Mr. Afebua, but it had been distorted by the press. Nevertheless, for the avoidance of doubt, what IBB was reiterating, was saying, and then reiterating was that the time of analog leaders is past, implying that we probably need modern leaders in Nigeria. And further, no doubt, implying that he's not satisfied with what we have, you know, at the moment in this administration. Didn't expressly say so, but by the time you look at the content of the statement, one of the things that caught my attention was that it's not all about fighting corruption, it's also about plugging as well, by which I'm sure IBB must have meant plugging loopholes, plugging leakages, in short, being proactive about corruption, sort of taking away the opportunity for it, I imagine. Well, those are just my own, just sit-down look aspects to the whole thing. Experts who can actually dissect this whole matter. I'm grateful to have with us this morning a panel of two. Chuks Nwoko, publisher and social commentator.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
Indeed.
Good to see you.
And Yemi Makwaderon, Mr. Makwaderon, strategy and governance expert. You know, full disclosure, we actually started this program before coming on air. We just chilled so that we can say good morning and then continue the discussion. Let me start with you, Yemi, if I may. I said in the beginning that, what, is the PMB administration beleaguered now by criticism on this flank, on criticism on that flank? Or is this really, when you look at it dispassionately, something that comes with the territory? That is leadership. There will be alternative opinions on what you are doing, and you've just got to take it as part of the territory. Or is this something, could you also see it as something of a conspiracy against, quote unquote, open conspiracy against, you know, the, shall we say, peace of mind of the president to be able to do a good job?
Yeah. Well, to start with, I think it's a combination of both and then more.
Both and then some.
And then some other, you know, issues, I mean, interest and concerns. There is no doubt in my mind that before President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, released that, you know, 18, 20-page letter or statement addressing the current president and advising him not to run. He must have made consultations.
Yes. And sorry, by the way, sir, what you've just said, advising the president not to run, IBB's statement distinguishes itself from that by emphasizing that I am not saying Buhari should not run. It's his inalienable right to vote,
right, yeah.
Right to vote and be voted for.
Correct, and we will get to that because, of course, we know who IBB is, and we know the role IBB played in removing then Major General Muhammadu Buhari as military head of state, and so he possibly may not want to be seen as trying to remove him a second time, but just making a general comment. But coming back to the issue of whether it's a conspiracy or just something that always happens, you know, in the run of play when it comes to leadership, I say it's a combination of both and then more. Don't forget that we are fast approaching, you know, elections in 2019, and so different interests are now being galvanized to pursue one interest or ambition or the other, and they will latch on to anything and everything in order to achieve that. And in politics, that is legitimate. But what I am interested in is for leaders of goodwill in Nigeria and citizens of good conscience to always dissect the information, you know, that circulates and then make their deductions, not based on what one person has said, but based on what is actually on ground. For instance, the current president has been accused variously, and many people genuinely, of nepotism. But a critical look at the structure of governance in Nigeria today and yesterday will indicate that there seems to be a propensity for executive president and even military president to populate the security architecture of Nigeria with people from the north, generally, beginning with North Central, Northwest, Northeast, and the rest of it. That even under President Obasanjo, 5 of the key 8 security council members, which includes him and the vice president, were from the north. And that was also the tradition, under Shehu Shagari. It was only under President Goodluck Jonathan that we now saw a radical change where the security architecture, the National Security Council of Nigeria, was now populated more by people from the South-South and the Southeast. And even at that time, I didn't hear anybody, at least nobody was loud enough to say this was nepotism at play. But that is just looking at one angle of it. Okay,
and as you said, there are quite a number of them. Chooks, how do you see it? Maybe I want to go back to the first question that I asked, which is, does this sort of thing come with the territory, where man just has to be able, that's the quality leaders have made up of, to be able to keep focused in spite of the criticism, in spite of the distractions and all of that? Or is there more to this?
I agree with what Yemi said. There is both conspiracy and more. Yeah, these are mere distractions and all that. Don't forget that we have a nation that is populated with unemployed and inactive politicians. The only thing we do right now in this country is just politics. And you don't know how it feels to be idle politically. You don't know how it feels to have been at the corridor of power and suddenly you're not there. You don't know how it feels when somebody says to you no, when that never used to happen to you. You don't know how it feels to suddenly have the locks of all the places you have access to suddenly locked up. You don't know how it feels like, because why? You work, and you're contented with what you work. These are guys who have had to live on an enterprise called Nigeria. And as a result, they've developed this high appetite for good things of life.
Well, one moment there, please. You are suggesting something of a somewhat ulterior motive. But when they came, especially the most recent two, OBJ and IBB, it's about, as OBJ put it, it's about, I cannot keep quiet. So that should I be asked, what did you do? What I am doing now will be pointing away. So it's from a love of Nigeria. You saw the video that started to circulate on YouTube, which I think is an old video of IBB, but they're now using it. And at that place, OBJ was saying how much he loves Nigeria, and nobody could love Nigeria as much as the Nigerian.
Absolutely. I have sat exactly on this chair, and I talked, eloquently about Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo. I think I am too infantile, too young and too ignorant to talk about him. But let me comment on a little bit of what I know. You cannot take away. In fact, when I talk to my friends about him, I say that he's the Usha of the Yoruba race. That I understand what Usha means. That's what I tell my friends, and they quarrel with me. I have had the privilege of loving him to a point and desiring to see him, and I've seen him twice. I met him twice, and I know how his house looks like, and the crowd and the pilgrimage that people make to the place. I have so much regard for the man. Nobody can deny that he loves this Nigeria and that he shares the same destiny with this nation, like the rest of us. But just that in the animal farm, some animals are greater than others. Having said that, this much I can say, that I am his son, at least by age or whatever. And he probably has educated me. And I've grown to age where I can sit down and have an interaction with him on any issue. Okay? Having said that, I also like to say that...
That's OBJ.
Yes.
How about IBB by any chance? Do you have a relationship with him?
No, I'm coming to that. But let me finish what I want. Like I said, I'm too young to make it personal, whatever about person. But I remember in 1999, how we sat here in Lagos, and the Southwest, were shortchanged by what happened to Abiola and all of us, because we voted for Abiola. And a few guys sat down, and that you need to pay attention to, and chose OBJ above Falaye, who was our own choice in the Southwest, as a candidate to become president in 1999. So the destiny of Nigeria has always been that a few guys will always make a decision for us. Then when they have made that decision, we, the Mumus, we go to the polling station to go and vote on election day. Now, for the first time in our tragic in our journey as a nation. In 2015, we chose Buhari by ourselves to manage our affairs. Now, the man is not a perfect man. IBB, I'm also too young to comment about IBB. But let me say this, too infantile, not too young, to begin to discuss statesmen like that. But I was in my 20s, early 20s, about 22, 23, when he became president in the mid-80s. And I remember him in his starched top with his toothy smile, and sometimes with a cap and sometimes without a cap. And I believe that his generation brought what we have today in deception and all the 419 and all the trouble we have in this country today. But that does not deny him the right to make the comment that he has made. But this I can say to him.
Which, as you pointed out, his administration followed Buhari's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which he was instrumental in terminating.
But let me say this about him. In 2002, 2003, we woke up one morning that one certain gentleman called Reverend Chris Okote showed up on Nigerian political scene, brought some colors and whatever to the political whatever. IBB did something very unique at that time. He came to this day newspaper, had an interview with the newspaper, and in the interview he said that there's a young man he had just been listening to in recent weeks and months, that he thinks that he represents his ideas of how to take Nigeria to the next level. What did I do? Because I was playing an active role in the party then, in Okote's party at the time. I called this Afebua through his relation, who is a member of my party in Delta State. And I said to him, can I have your brother's phone number? He gave it to me. I sent a text message to this man that I needed to meet with IBB to encourage him to take that statement that he made further, so that there would be a new generation. Why? Because Okote's campaign was predicated on paradigm shift, if you remember. IBB said that that was what was needed way back in 2003.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what happened between me and Afebua. When I didn't get any positive response, I wrote a formal letter to IBB asking him that it is his responsibility to make sure that what he said in the pages, that was hidden in the pages of that newspaper should be taken to the highest level by him coming out to make that statement. I wrote that it was published in this day, and I got feedback from people in the north and other. The point that I'm making here is that it's too late in the day for you to be rehashing what was said in 2000 and whatever. We already know that there's a need for a new generation of leaders. What has happened is that they are the ones who barricaded the opportunity. So they need to reduce the entrance fee into the political parties. When the forms are released this year, it should not sell for more than 100, 150,000 or 100,000 for the different, so that people like us who want to provide that leadership, because we have that mental capacity to provide that necessary leadership. Right now, you can't take our own ideas because you are a greater personality and be coming to newspaper to be talking about what we talked about in 2002.
Sure. Yemi, let's, as it were, just pause this where it is at now, and then look at this problem, this issue of a sort of a uniform theme between OBJ and now IBB, that about youth, wanting the youthful, wanting a more youthful leadership for Nigeria. IBB talks about analog and digital. I think even Baba Obasanjo, similar kind of metaphors. So what kind of youth are going to take over in their mind's eye? Is it youth that will indeed be independent and will be doing what they need to do because it is their country, it is their time, it's a modern age? Experience is where it's at, no doubt about that. But do they want to be, as it were, playing the puppet strings? Because I don't know. Obasanjo just said, that, look, youth, something and authority, age and authority.
Should be respected.
This authoritarian aspect of us in Africa, what youth are they going to be cooperated with?
Now you just mentioned, a very big contradiction between the state of mind of the author of a letter and what was written. Now, if you insist at every turn that people should respect age, which means you should defer to older people.
That's right.
And you do not also come back to say, we should do away with, the old people and let's bring in the youth. Having said that, personally, I am not one who thrives on issue of chronological age. You see, the age of any individual has to do with the idea the person has. And I must remind Nigerians that right, by a corridor there, a close neighbor, Ghana, has a 72-year-old that was sworn in last year as president. That the United States of America, which is the bastion of democracy, has a president that will be 72 in 2018. Yes, there is a 39-year-old.
And before that, there was Ronald Reagan.
And before then, there was a Ronald Reagan who was elected, who left office at the age of 79, going on 80. So the issue is, then and now, the issue is really not age. Indeed, in the United States, you do not want to recruit people for a job, with the exception of perhaps, physically tasking like the military. You do not indicate age because it is regarded as discrimination. The issue should be who is qualified to do the job. And let me say this. When a mess has been created by a class, the responsibility of clearing that mess rests on the class. Nobody else can do it for them.
Exactly.
And so I consider President Muhammadu Buhari as part of the old bloc that created the mess that Nigeria found itself in. And just like the slave masters did, and just like the feudal lords did, to bring in communism to replace, feudalism, and just as the slave masters, came together to say, come on, there must be a new order. Those who can clear the mess in Nigeria are those who belong to the old bloc. Of course, with the active assistance and input from the younger generation. That is the reality.
But there must be a willingness. There must be a willingness. And Chooks, let me bring you in here. There must be a willingness for this noble idea, noble notion to actually come into fruition, as opposed to saying the right things, but deep down in our core, a 72-year-old finds it a bit worrisome, if not difficult, to, I would guess, to defer to a 38-year-old man, in society, up in the ruling class. So how is this really going to work? When they talk about a paradigm shift, look, when elders speak here, you are supposed to be quiet culturally. We know that they make differences. There are songs, there are poems about how sometimes financial, success is more than age. But they mean that only in a very slight cultural, entertainment, fun sort of a way. So I find that maybe culturally we really have a problem. And I really wish we could interrogate this whole idea about how sincerely the elders really want the youth to come and take over and fix the country.
The assumption here, I told you that I am matured enough to be Obasanjo's son. So me and my children, we sit down to talk.
Sure.
I listen to them. In fact, as I am sitting there, my kids about 20-something, some of the things they are saying to me looks like I am.
I was going to go there.
These people who are writing this...
Do you really understand their mind?
Yes. So these people who are saying this, what they are saying to us is that this idea that they have, that we can't, that young people like us don't have better ideas. Maybe that's what IBB is saying, that we have better ideas. But that's not what Obasanjo is saying. What I'm saying is that Nigeria's problem is bigger than all the summary and all the accusations that have been leveled against Buhari. We are in a big mess. And people are calling us all kinds of names. I empathize with Buhari. This is not the best job for any man to do at 72. But I'm also happy for him that he didn't die. Because what his enemies wanted really was for him to die. But God intervened. Because the job that he has taken, I don't know who gave him the job. I don't know why he aspired for it. Because to govern this country is very difficult. Come on, what are we talking about? To govern my own house of how many people is such a big problem as I sit down here and I'm talking on TV. Not to talk of a great nation like Nigeria. So but Buhari has a big job. But the problem is that Dr. Obasanjo hasn't told us the whole story, how that Nigeria is a difficult nation to... because if you put a young man there, if you take IBB's advice, I mean, this is your colleague, you guys were in the military and all that, and see the way you're treating him and all that. You haven't told us the whole story. You haven't told us why you are this upset and all that. We have read what you said. We agree with you. Things are difficult. But hey, it's been like that for people like me forever.
Indeed, indeed.
It's been like that for us forever.
But that doesn't mean that these things do not need to be highlighted.
No, but they're being
highlighted. It doesn't mean
they're being highlighted 1 year to election. They are not telling him the good things this man has done. That he's locked. Look, today we don't import rice like we used to import before. Some people are losing out. The tax-free whatever has ended for them. The people who are taking our fuel and doing donation to PDP and all that is no longer a game as usual. So they are not telling you the whole story. The nation is in a bad state, economically speaking. But the noise, the murmuring, look, you're in the first quarter of 2017. I published the first edition of my magazine, whatever. You know the title? A sick president, a sick economy, a murmuring population. And I quoted Abati, what he said about Aso Rock. But this man has survived. Look, the problem...
The spirits in
the spirit in Aso Rock. It's the same Babangida that needs to come and tell us what was buried or how they built that place that is making people sick in that place, outside of what he's saying here. Because there are some good things that are going on. The pains that we're going through is so bad.
I'm so happy you've said all of this, because all of that is the way it is.
They haven't told us the whole story.
But it is to one side.
Yes. They haven't told us the whole story.
Yes, it is to one side. The other truth, I think, is that not having the wherewithal to be more scientific than I would like to, that I'm able to be, we were just guessing that, look, up to 80% identify with the content, if not the method, of OBJ's letter. The language, some of the metaphors that were chosen, all of that. That is one side.
The letter he got from, the opinion was gotten from the masses in the first place. It's not his personal opinion.
He also said, well, you know him as a man who said he will observe.
Expressing what we have already done.
He said he will observe and then come to his own conclusions. And based on the fact that he has been president before, he should know what it takes. That is OBJ for you. So this is the other aspect of the thing, I think.
Look, in November last year, I wrote an open letter to the president. If I were an OBJ or an IBB, that letter will have become a classic.
Absolutely.
It was widely published. I received so many phone calls, many abusive,
but
many
not being a military president.
But I articulated all of these things in less than 1,500 words. And I addressed it to Mr. President, identified the areas that he needed to focus on. And the kernel was basically on anti-corruption, and then the perception that those who are close to the president are, are too big to be touched, they are sacred, lambs that cannot be touched by Mr. President. The issue of the SGF was there. It was the following day that I wrote that letter that the Secretary of Government was fired. I'm not saying it has anything to do with my letter because that was coming anyway, but it took so long. And then the Maina case was also highlighted. Okay. And the last issue I highlighted...
Been suing EFCC and Magu,
Yes, the last issue I highlighted... The last issue I highlighted was the issue of the rampaging headsmen. But these are things that I did in good conscience to help a president that I supported.
Which brings us to the point of annoyance of many, the allegation that Mr. President is far too slow for the situation that Nigeria is in. Absolutely. Nigeria has been likened to somebody who's been brought into the emergency ward, and surgeons have to, the surgeon-in-chief has to be able to make decisions quick, otherwise we lose this patient. And using this metaphor, it looks like the person who is in charge is taking far, far too much time to be considering and reconsidering and reconsidering
Doctors are like that
the decision. Doctors are like that sometimes.
You are absolutely correct. But again, yes, everybody wants things to move. I'm not sure there is anyone, including the president, who does not want an accelerated improvement in all the indices in this country. But the truth of the matter is that when you understand the governance structure of Nigeria and the governance style of Mr. President, you will note that he just entrusts many of these things into the hands of those he trusted will be able to do a good job, and then he provides a cover for them. But if you are going to rate the president based on every index that is available. I do not think he has failed. Now, the
sorry,
yes,
sir.
I don't think.
Again, it's far too premature for us to be talking of failure at this time.
Let's say it's a continuous assessment.
It's a continuous. But as OBJ also said, OBJ said, and Mr. President himself, he's been a leader of Nigeria before. In fact, a leader with fewer constraints, in the sense that he didn't have the bother or the headache of the constitution to deal with. Yes, he continued to deal with the people, deal with all these different sectors. And there are those who have said that having tried as many times as he has to be president, but his doggedness has finally brought it to him, you would think that he would be prepared and, as they say, be able to hit the ground running. Such that in 6 months, maybe 9 months, okay, give it, maybe 1 year, there should be palpable, you should be able to see at least the beginnings of palpable change.
Absolutely.
That people are saying is disappointing to them. That we're still, quote unquote, suffering as much as we were before you came.
Absolutely. But it happens everywhere. You get into a job that you maybe took you a year or 2 years to go through the process of interviews and all, and you get into the place and it's a different ball game. Sorry, can you permit me to say this? In 1999, when Obasanjo became president, the first 4 years was almost the same pattern. When I was young, I used to hear about the Kaduna Mafia. He took care of that first when he became president. Now, I remember Adamu Shiroma, to my shock, was appointed into Obasanjo's administration in the first term. And you remember that a few people were also taking Obasanjo because he was constantly outside of the shores of this country. But second term, he changed. What happened? He brought new, young, vibrant technocrats to help him run. In 2003, in 2004, I mean, this man, the number of bills he sent to the National Assembly, that's why it was probably okay for him to seek a third term and all that, because he needed more time to do. But the first term was used in fixing things and all that and all. You remember the wahala between him and Naba in the National Assembly and all the things that were going on. They had a lot of distraction, a lot of issues and all that. So if you say what you have just said in the letter about you being a former leader, you should know better that there's so much distraction. Above all, there's so much murmuring and noise and in social media and everywhere. I believe that this man is very slow. I believe that the ethnic bias is probably okay. But it didn't start with him. In 1962, Lee Kuan Yew paid us a 2-day visit, or was it a 1-day visit to Nigeria? The first thing he noticed in Federal Palace Hotel here was that these Nigerian leaders, they all have the ethnic asset and liabilities following them. Look, we have this herdsmen marauding and killing people. It's wrong. But during Jonathan's era, what do we have? The same Ike Clark and his people and Orisa Jaffo became ethnic, whatever, marauding our economic sphere. He has a plane that he used, he became a transporter of Nigeria, whatever it is, to South Africa and back and forth. We need to address our problems, not single out one individual by distracting him. The problem is not just limited to Buhari. It's a generic problem that we have to constantly do things wrong. And when another administration, the young man you want to come and become president in 2000 and whatever, are you going to listen to him when you cannot listen to him?
Exactly, that's the whole
Are you going to
point.
listen to him?
Besides,
I don't
think young people should get unnecessarily
excited
about
because these people
talk about. Because
it will be a poisoned chalice.
Yes.
Oh, obviously. And we've started seeing the trend. Go to the state houses of assembly. Go to the cabinet of some governors. You have their wives, you have their children already occupied. They are grooming their children to even take these offices. So you don't get excited that they are championing your cause.
That's not championing the cause of youth generally.
No, absolutely.
Maybe they're not too young
to run and the rest of it.
To be able to cover our tracks.
That's it. And that is even going to be worse, because these are children that have been brought up in opulence. They really don't understand what it means.
And we are beginning to see them.
And they send them to the best schools.
Yes, and we're beginning to see them increasingly. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back and look at this some more. This whole matter about this new love affair with the youth and how you have to bring on digital leaders now. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. So welcome back, and we're looking at this whole problem. Second opinion has landed by someone that can't be readily ignored. Talking of former military president IBB, also criticizing, I think, the pace of progress in the current administration of President Buhari. Before then, of course, there was the Obasanjo letter. So all of this is going on. It would appear as if it's pro-youth, at least pro-modern, a la digital, not analog kind of leaders. But then we all being Nigerians, we probably are aware of that this is fraught with danger. This is fraught with all sorts of cultural danger. But President Obasanjo interestingly used with the word authority, not experience. He said age and authority. Every Nigerian born and well brought up will respect age and authority in that old clip that's making the rounds on the internet now. So this, how is that going to be, how are we going to now have a 40-year-old Nigerian president? And there are still the IBBs of this world. There are still the OBJs of this world. And all the other statesmen in this country. And they are going to actually let this chap get on. And
the authority in Nigeria today is Buhari.
The authority in Nigeria today is Buhari. By way of revolution, by which I mean that they are very much in place. All these big power brokers are very, very much in place. I don't know how it is seen, because even look at OBJ's coalition. All the people, I understand their pilgrimages. And who are they wooing? I don't see them around universities. I don't see them wooing people from those intellectual kind of centers. That's not what's going on, but maybe it's just me.
Not just you. That's what I see also. That's what I see, because at the launch of Coalition for Nigeria, I saw the people there. Yeah. I didn't see, any deliberate attempt to bring in the youth. I thought that after that letter, the best strategic thing to have done is to look at some of the brightest young people in industry, in business, in government, and then let them come together, not as a political party, but as a pressure group to kickstart this Coalition Nigeria. And from day one, they should have started addressing the issue of playing down on ethnicity and religious sentiment and facing our problem squarely. In actual fact, I expected they should have started with a colloquium that would look at some of the problems that we have in Nigeria today and prefer, clear-headed solutions to them. But from day one, it was politics.
That one will cause a robust debate that I'm not sure these elders are going to be able to win.
Because the interest is really, because they wanted to win in a different way. See, the victory we are looking for is making Nigeria to make progress. Is that what they really wanted? Or they just a change of regime?
Josephine in Ajah, good morning, ma'am.
Uncle Yori, good morning. You have kept me so long.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you very much. Yes, we'll keep on saying, I hope the presidency, they are listening to this program. Good morning, and your guests.
Yes. Good morning. So IBB's letter now, following OBJ's own.
Yes. All this letter you are seeing, the letter is coming because the thing is glaring on their face that this country is going backward. It's clearing that this country, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
It's clearing that we are not making waves. We are not going forward. This is people that have been ruling us for a decade. They have been there going up and down. I don't expect at this time that we will still be ruled by this old fashion. Everybody is coming out. Josephine, they don't have what it takes to bring us. They are still in their old system. We don't need all this old system.
Josephine.
See, the political landscape in Nigeria, the political system is faulty. Anybody that has good idea want to rule us. If you are not in this cartel called this OBJ, Babangida, Buhari, they are the same cartel. If you are not there,
but they say, Josephine, they say they want the youth, more youthful thinking in leadership, more modern digital.
Can you listen to me? If you don't have the billions, if you don't have that billions, you cannot belong. Hello.
All right. All right.
We are having political system error. We have a political system error which we need to treat first. If we get it right, everybody can come. We don't need all this old elite. We don't need them.
All right then. Thank you very much, Madam Josephine. You've brought up a wonderful point. It was there under the surface, but you brought it up. Where are these youth going to get the billions?
But I mentioned it.
That if you are going to have any youth at all,
these analog people are holding the billions of dollars. The youth, at best, maybe have hundreds of millions, even if that.
Look,
so how's it going to work?
At a point in around 2007, we had the first university certified degree holder as president of Nigeria, Umaru Yar'Adua, and we all celebrated. Oh, for once we have a graduate as president, thinking that you needed a university degree to become a successful president. And then after that, we had somebody who had a PhD. And that was the worst period for the university system in Nigeria.
There you go.
Minus the establishment of 9 new universities. Now, some of the things we see as solutions are actually not solutions.
Absolutely.
And I doubt the sincerity of most of those who are making this noise. Have you forgotten so quickly that about this time last year, up till a few months ago, the noise was about restructuring. Restructure. Now that the same government that appeared to be opposed to restructuring has kickstarted, the process, and agreeing on most of those difficult areas that we thought they didn't want to touch. Nobody is talking about that now. I thought this would be an opportunity to say, now that we have come up with this, we want to start running with this. Forget whether it's APC that's bringing it. This is about Nigeria. No. Suddenly,
exactly.
That is no longer the issue. The issue is about one individual. So I doubt the sincerity of all of this. Unfortunately, we are pawns in the chairs of these guys. And that is where I think when we Nigerians should come together to educate, Nigerian electorate.
Good morning, Divine, in Apapa.
Good morning, Chief Okuyori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to your guest in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
Okuyori, the truth of the issue is that we cannot make any headway if we did not kind of restructure this country and amend our constitution. I say that we are still in the military era. It is still military dictative. They put their uniform, they go back to the government. They are still military dictatorship. So let the constitution of this country, let us and kind of construct people that will give us a constitution that will abide. Not that those that and the government, when they steal the government money, the immunity will cover them. Then when others steal goods, they will be prosecuted. So I'm saying this. I'm an advocate of Josephine calling from. Let these people leave us alone. Let us have our own constitution, please, so that these people can leave this house and let the youth come in.
All right. Thank you very much, Divine. Chooks, it would appear that what we seem to be looking for here is to have change, indeed, not just change, radical change without upsetting the status quo.
Absolutely.
If we can find a way to do that, keep all the stolen billions where they are, keep the power, the real power where it is, then have a few showpieces as modernism, the modernity of Nigeria. It's a highly cynical picture I'm painting, but I just feel that we know ourselves now.
It's not cynical. It is not. Now, I am listening to you. I listened to what the last caller said. While he was speaking, he talked about let's find people. Then you talked about change. Now, unfortunately for us, and for APC, and for the rest of us Nigerians, when they introduced change, I used to think that people who created that mantra studied what the dimensions of change. Obviously, they didn't, because this change, I don't know what it's about. The change is a very difficult, dangerous thing. You got to change the mindset of people. To be able to do that, you need to take them to a certain place. That's the hardest
change of all.
Absolutely.
That's the hardest change of all. When you
go and study change, go and check places where changes are. It is always, and you use the word drastic. He used the word find people. For you to repair Nigeria, you need to go and find these aliens from Somalia or from... Because if any restructuring that you do or any change that you bring about, and it still has to do with the same Nigerians, it is not going to work. Why? I will explain to you why. The reason it will not work is because if you take IBB's letter, take Obasanjo 2 letters, and check all the murmurings that are going on. And if you went to secondary school in my time where we studied government and history, Nigerians didn't start agitation today. With the British, I don't know how they coped, but I guess out of frustration, they coupled the northern and southern protectorate and put them together and say, you know, you guys, just go your way. But let me show you something. When you are very good at something, come on, Yori, you are very good in your job. You come a long way. Those that trained you were, you know who they were. Today, you can comfortably do what you're doing. We are very good in murmuring, and we have mastered it. So it's not going to end, whether you bring Buhari or you bring a 40-year-old man or a 50-year-old man. We have specialized in murmuring. Now we want change. Change is drastic, just that we don't know it. We want restructuring. When you finish restructuring, I want you to go to outer space and go and bring aliens to come and live here. But if you leave Nigerians here, it's the same murmuring. The language will change again to another phenomenon.
Emmanuel, thank you for holding on in Yola, Adamawa. I left it too late.
You didn't?
I'm so sorry, Emmanuel. See if you can get in again. I'll interrupt myself.
You didn't get the drift of what I was saying. The Nigerian situation is so bad that it's not those letters or those 2 gentlemen have written that is a solution. It's not restructuring. We need to come to a point where you will, you know, when your laptop or computer is bad, you boot it out. Then you need to restart it. Or you just leave this man to do what he's doing. When it's time, you respect his authority. Obasanjo is a Christian. The Bible commands him to be subject to authority, like other presidents in America are subject to Trump. They make any noise, they will come after them. You abuse the hell out of them.
The Bible is one thing. Culture and tradition is another.
The Bible respects our culture. You respect constituted authority. When he was in power, you cannot do some of these things that he's doing. What you do, what you will not take from other people, don't give it to other people.
You know, Yemi, you must have studied this, you know, when you're looking at leadership and you know, the strategic aspects of it all. Look, Nigerians go abroad and have no problem fitting into their way of life, obeying all the laws, being a good citizen, paying your taxes, in due course,
driving the right way.
You can be voted for and you can vote for somebody. All of that happens when Nigeria is abroad. Now, I don't understand what happens when this same Nigerian comes here. A certain laxity comes to bear. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I can't quite understand it. Since the man or the woman they've shown that they're capable of functioning in a decent society and do so without any coercion abroad. Here, why do they trump their nose at all those regulations and guidances and rules and laws?
Look, I wouldn't even want us to go too far to see a symbolism of change that took place even in this country under our very nose, but which we choose to ignore. In 2007, when Babatunde Raji Fashola became the governor of Lagos State, every median on major highways in Lagos was a refuse dump. People from their Mercedes-Benz will open the trunk of their whatever and dump refuse there. And then somebody came, and in 2 years, all of that disappeared.
Became history.
Did they think it came from a want? People were crying at that time that why is this man planting grasses, you know, on those medians and the rest. When people don't have food to eat, they don't have place to sleep. To corroborate what Chuk said, that these cries have always been there. I told someone, there has never been a time, even in the good, old days, we call the 70s, Udoji Award and the rest of it. I was still growing up in Ebute Metta. I still saw people who were complaining. You understand? It's relative. So we have people here, even in this government, but people are focusing so much on one person, that is PMB. I have my concerns with him, but I'm afraid that if we just do a regime change for the sake of regime change, we may be going back to the starting blocks.
Okay, because at the end of the day, it's Lucky in Ibadan, is it? Yes, Lucky in Ibadan, good morning.
Good morning, Okuyori, and good morning to the panelists. I, for once, as a Nigerian, I'm very concerned, and I'm actually very bothered. I remember prior to 2015 election, I told the gathering of friends that I was angered that as a Nigerian, the options we had before us at that point in time was between Buhari and the former President Goodluck Jonathan. The bottom line again is our capacity and competence in this current era cannot be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness or party affiliation. Nigeria is a country of over 180 million people. And I believe very strongly that we have men of content, men of credibility, men with immense capacity that can move this country forward. Nobody who does not belong to a political party will agree that currently what we have right now is the best way a country should be governed. I want to also lend my voice to the immediate and emergency restructuring of this country, because the structure of this country, as it is right now, will not allow for growth. It will not allow for us to move forward. Buhari, with all due respect to his integrity, it lacks the capacity, from my own critical observation, to move the country forward. Nigeria is in dire need of development. Nigeria is in dire need for us to harness our potential. We need someone, we need a man who can harness all the potential of this country. Without sentiment, Nigeria must support this clarion call from all well-meaning Nigerians that they need to have a regret. We need to have a paradigm shift so that the right person, irrespective of creed, irrespective of religion, irrespective of which part of the country that person is coming from, to move us forward.
All right.
So we can leave this current situation we are, so that Nigeria can attain its full potential that God has given us. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Lucky. Now, the problem, Chooks, is I don't think any two Nigerians actually agree on what restructuring actually means. And but everybody is saying that until we restructure, we're not going anywhere.
I have checked my dictionary. I know the meaning of restructuring.
You have checked your dictionary.
I know the meaning of companies like this. Your company restructure with the aim of making profit at the end of the day. So when you bring it here and begin to use it, I don't know the meaning. Check your dictionary. All the dictionaries you have.
Maybe you qualify. Maybe you qualify political restructuring.
Oh, maybe we should say political restructuring.
I call that political shibboleths.
So this is the problem right there.
The problem is that no one individual is going to come in 2019.
Restructuring is scaring some people silly. Restructuring, some people are, being jingoistic about the whole restructuring aspect.
You are asking this government to sell you a dummy. Because I think that's what they're about to do. You want restructuring, they will give it to you.
No, restructuring, you see, again, that's why I said no two people will agree. Almost as a slight exaggeration. First of all, people say, let's go and start with that constitution. Can we just go there? And you know that's a threadbare argument.
Look,
we've been over that.
Look, even
there are also those who are saying, Mr. George, for instance, he just might be listening right now. He is saying that,
our George.
He's saying that, he has said frequently, the constitution is not my main problem. Where is the singularity of vision and unity of purpose to do the right thing in a critical mass of Nigerians, that we can make great shakes with the existing constitution, as flawed as it is?
I agree.
I totally concur. Look, if you have headed any community before, I had one. Even to take decisions on the minutest of issues for a community of less than 2,000 people, at a point you go home, it's like, I need to resign from this. I can't continue. People think Nigeria is one small laboratory where you can wish something. No country is like that. Donald Trump does not represent the best of America intellectually in terms of capacity and the rest of it. Do you know the definition of democracy that somebody gave? The tyranny of the majority.
There you go. Let me quickly slip in from Oshogbo, Jide, our last caller. Good morning, Jide.
Hi, Uncle Yori. Good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
I'm a first-time caller, and I've been trying you almost every day.
We're so glad we connected today.
Yeah. You see, the truth... Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
The truth of the matter is, Buhari has done this country more harm than good. Please, allow me, allow me. Anybody who loves this country, who loves Nigeria to remain, should call for Buhari's exit. For me, I see him as a president of Hausa Fulani, not my president, not the president of my own Nigeria. I mean, he's taking us for a ride. Are we fools?
Well, no. I beg your pardon.
Justify
you see, I don't have the time, but there's no way you can justify what you've just said. Are you still there? Oh, that's a bit over enthusiastic. I needed to still have him on because we want to hear contrary opinions. But the point is, I don't think Jide from Osogbo could possibly justify what he just said, that Buhari is a president for the North.
Unfortunately for Nigeria, that view he just expressed is actually widespread, and I'm scared, and mostly held by young people who do not know what it means to build a nation and what it means to go through a war. There is so much hate in this.
Do you know where it comes from?
You know, there was a time government concerned itself with hate speech, addressing it frontally. That is a dangerous thing.
Do you know where it comes from? Do you know where those type of things come from?
Oh my.
Jide listens to somebody he respects so much and all that, expresses a view. It enters your subconscious. So you have opportunity like this to sit down here or to call into a program and you express the same whatever. Look,
yeah, but unfortunately, we didn't get to hear Jide's justification.
But you see what Buhari is being accused of needs to be dealt with because that is the perception. And it didn't start with him. That's the point that I made when I said that when Jonathan was in that place. You had all these Ijaw people, even though they are not killing people physically like the herdsmen are doing, but they had access to our commonwealth. Olusegun today is a owner of a private jet.
So what you guys seem to be saying, gentlemen, is that, look, there is merit in the complaints of both OBJ
Absolutely.
and IBB, but at the same time, these are distractions that are being hurled at the Buhari regime, and apparently they have to find a way to, give the light to their critics and show that they've not just been twiddling their thumbs.
The problem of Nigeria
we need results.
Yes.
We need to see some results.
And no one man, including Buhari or OBJ or IBB, or that young person they're looking for, can solve the problem.
Yes. In fact, I think leadership has to get a bit more creative.
As a leader myself,
sure.
Anytime I have my followers disagreeing with my point of view, the question I ask is give me an alternative.
Give me an alternative.
And then we will see whether it is workable. And more often than not, we just see that it's a case of who will beg the cat first. How do you stop the cat from killing the rat? Exactly. Put a bell on the neck of the cat so that when it's coming, the cat can scamper. But who will bell the cat?
So we got to, it's possible that we might be seeing more of these kind of criticisms. It's for those people, the PMB administration, to know how to handle all of this. And because at the end of the day, I don't know, Nigerian people are going to buy that, not so much buy, is not the word I needed, but the explanation that, look, the foundation is the most important aspect of the building. There's so much
What
time.
I expect them to do.
You can't see all that is being done.
What I expect them
so
to
that
do.
The superstructure shall be secure. That's what
I expect them to do henceforth after now is that these murmurs and whatever should stop. The blame game should stop. Let's find a permanent solution to this problem. Not starting a third force or a sixth force.
Okay.
We need to find a solution
and
to the problem.
let PMB put some results. Let them put some
needs
results
to
out
stop.
there. We need
why do we have elections every 4 years?
Exactly.
Look, all these complaints are premature.
Yeah, they are premature.
And start asking
some results to him on his own table.
Absolutely.
Never mind the Abuja guys. Never mind all the oil blocks. Let them continue.
On the election
but the ordinary Nigerian needs to see a few things on his table that weren't there before. That's all.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you very much, Yemi Makwadiro and Chuk Swoko. So, it's always a delight when I have you guys and we can talk about this. And thank you also for contributing your questions. Mr. George didn't call in after a while. After all, he might not have been around, he said. So see you tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition at 10:30 in the morning. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.